You can read the call, then we do roll call, and you'll have the pledge by Councilmember Ramsey.
Right.
Yeah, I'll have to update.
I have a letter dated October 13, 2016. Ms. Laura W. Johnson, Clerk of Council, Room 1E09, City Hall, New Orleans, Louisiana, 70112. Dear Ms. Johnson, pursuant to authority granted to the City Council President in Section 3-1075, the Home Rule Charter of the City of New Orleans, I hereby call a special City Council meeting on Monday, October 17, 2016, to begin at 11 a.m. in the Council Chamber in City Hall. This meeting will be held for the purpose of receiving the 2017 capital and operating budgets and a presentation from Mayor Mitchell J. Landrew and appropriate administration officials. Please make the necessary arrangements to have this special meeting cablecast live on the Government Access Television channel and tape for recasting in the future. Thank you. Stacy as Head Council President. Roll call. Councilmember Gray, present. Councilmember Brissett, present. Councilmember Williams, present. Councilmember Cantrell, present. Councilmember Cantrell, absent. Councilmember Head, present. Councilmember Ramsey, present. Councilmember Guidry, present. We have 6 members. We have a quorum.
We have everybody stand for the pledge by Councilmember Ramsey.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and we will go directly to the regular agenda, which is the executive budget address by the Honorable Mitchell J. Landry.
Madam President, members of the council, good morning to you. Thank you so much for allowing me to come speak to you today and to present our 2017 budget. I first want to begin by thanking you, the council members, and all of the staff that helped in the last couple of months talk to the community through all of our budgeting for outcome meetings. All of the council members attended most of, if not all of the meetings, and I really appreciate you being there with me to build this budget from the ground up, as we've done for the past 6 years, and of course we've done for this 7th year. In the last 6.5 years, while working together, we have become one of America's greatest comeback stories. In 2010, when we got here, we fast-tracked over 100 major projects. We secured more federal funds. We began to execute very sound fiscal management policies. We negotiated and passed balanced budgets. We implemented new ethical contracting for the city. We have more frequent revenue estimating conferences. We have more transparency. We have together very aggressively cut, reorganized, invested, and continued to grow the city of New Orleans, spurring almost $6 billion in private sector investment since we started together. That is quite an accomplishment. Like every year since taking office in 2002, the budget was built from the ground up. Many of you, as I've said, came to the community meetings. We had over 1,200 residents that attended those meetings and told us what it is that they wanted. And the message was pretty clear and pretty basic to us. We want to invest in public safety. We want to create jobs. We want to invest in repairing our streets and our infrastructure. We want to create opportunities for kids. We want better housing opportunities for our residents, and we want to improve the quality of life. That's what they told us. And so that's the budget that we built. I've had an opportunity to meet with each of you individually and to listen to your concerns as well. And today, of course, we began the formal budgeting process, which historically is 2 weeks earlier than we did before 2010. So, Councilmember Guidry, I thank you for spurring us to this point as well. So, first and foremost, I'm going to hit the highlights of the budget and then ask Jeff and Cedric to give you all of the details. But number one priority always is public safety. You know that we have invested massive new amounts of money in rebuilding the police department. This year, we're going to increase funding for the police department by another $8 million. We have budgeted for another 150 police officers, and we, as you know, are in an aggressive recruitment campaign. Last year, and this year we increased pay for police officers by 15%. This new budget invests an additional $500,000 in license plate readers to help improve with our investigations. We have nearly 4.5 set aside for overtime, which is the equivalent of adding dozens of officers to the street. We're adding 11 new civilian positions to get more officers on the streets, and that's on top of the reorganization that the chief did with your urging to move 100 officers from behind desks onto the street to plus up the impact that our police have on the streets. On top of that, we're also increasing EMS's funding by $700,000 to make sure they have the equipment they need and to reduce the wait times to make sure that they're available to help our citizens. That's public safety. Secondly, in terms of increasing jobs, one of the things that we have done is make sure that we create an economic opportunity strategy for our citizens to connect the citizens that are not working to the jobs that already exist. And so many of you have been to our Strive NOLA graduations. We have graduated 10 classes of citizens. It's an amazing program that's really working, and a lot of those citizens are actually in work doing great things. We're adding $200,000 to the workforce development program to make that go faster, and of course, we continue to invest in Build NOLA, which helps our local businesses and connects them to local opportunities. The Build NOLA pilot has already generated over $3 million in new contracts and helped create 27 new jobs. But jobs is not the only issue. We're investing in housing. So during the State of the City speech, we unveiled our 5-year plan to add or to keep 7,500 affordable housing units. We're going to invest another $17 million this year in developing affordable housing. We're going to keep doing that. And of course, on the issue of homelessness, we together have reduced homelessness by 80% in this city since 2010, from about 10,700 American citizens now down to a much smaller number. We are the first city in America to functionally end homelessness for veterans. But the one piece that's missing is a low barrier shelter. And so there is money in this budget that helps fix that problem to ensure chronic homelessness get the intensive care management and wraparound support and permanent supportive housing that they need. When you get past that, infrastructure is on everybody's mind every day. And I don't need to necessarily go back through the details with you, but we are spending amounts of money that dwarf what previous administrations have spent on fixing streetlights, fixing potholes, and investing in infrastructure. Next year alone, I think we're going to spend somewhere upwards of $400 million on repairing streets, roads, bridges in the city of New Orleans. We're going to invest $3 million more for pothole repairs, $3 million more for streetlight repairs. We're adding $3 million to catch up on the back leg of drainage point repairs. And because of the the settlement that we had last year with FEMA, we are now ready to put that $2 billion investment in the ground. So as I said, in 2017, we're going to make a record $480 million investment in street drainage, water, and sewer construction. Now, all of that is really good news. You also know that we have now received the best credit rating that the city has received in its history. And that is because of sound discipline and fiscal management. And I want to encourage you to stay that course. We also have been able to put aside with $44 million that we want to invest in the rainy day fund. We would encourage you not to dip into that money. That is the reservoir of fiscally prudent amount of money that we need, plus some over the years, to make sure that the city remains in strong financial conditions. However, having said that, this city has some long-standing liabilities that continue to be a drag on our ability to run as fast as we want to run. And so in this budget, you will see us honoring those historic obligations that nobody on this podium had anything to do with creating. But it was left to us to fix it, and as I've said many times, we run to the fire, not away from the fire. So we are proposing giving the sheriff $53 million to operate the Orleans Parish Prison, which is nearly double what we spent in 2010. $45 million or so of this is direct funding. I feel fairly confident that with the new monitor in place, who is given full responsibility to run the jail, that individual will bring us cost savings, and that this is plenty enough money to run a constitutional jail. Our contribution to the firefighters' new pension fund will be about $50 million this year as part of the landmark settlement that we had in 2015. That again pays the bill for a decades-old lawsuit that started back in the 80s. There are significant pension reforms that now pull that system into place. Our citizens told us everywhere that we went, we want to support the firefighters. This is the money to do that. And then again, on the ballot this December will be the millage to help fund this over a long period of time. These two liabilities continue to eat into the growth. And so I want you to think about how much room you would have to run if you didn't have the police consent decree, the sheriff's consent decree, or the firefighter's pension. So we are in the midst right now of completely transforming where we are financially to have to make a choice between a bad decision and a worse decision. And we have gotten ourselves in a place now where we can begin to make decisions between good and better. And we have been recognized nationally for doing that. But you have to stay the course and be very disciplined about how we spend money, where we spend it, why we spend it, what we invested in, and then how to get out of these long-term liabilities and make sure we don't get back in them again. In that regard, that has been a logjam, and civil service has been a logjam. There's more money in this budget to help continue the reforms in civil service. That reform can't go fast enough because that's where the biggest logjam has been, for hiring the folks that we know need jobs in places where jobs currently exist. Now, having said that, the budget doesn't balance unless and until we do the following thing. Cut the rest of government by 5%. And this is mostly going to be in the administrative side of government, from the mayor's office to the CEO's office to finance to IT. The DA, the judges, public defenders will all be stabilized at last year's budget, so that all of the public safety components are going to be funded at where they were last year. When you add to that the liabilities that we have and we cannot cut, it's going to force us to scale back in terms of funding across the rest of government, and we will do that, as I have said, very smartly. We will cut with a scalpel. We will not cut with a hatchet, so that when we grow back, we can grow back healthy. It's basically a 5% cut, and we'll be able to walk through with you the details of those so that you can see it. So as you can see, this budget, again, is a fiscally prudent budget. It's a fiscally disciplined budget. It's a budget that pays off our debts. It's a budget that invests in the future. It's a budget that focuses on exactly what the people told us to focus on in our meetings, and it's the one that's actually going to help us continue to set the stage for the future. This city is in better financial health than it has been in for generations. And the reason it's there is because all of you have had your ear to the ground. You have been really smart and prudent and thoughtful. You have been very measured. And you have been very even about how to handle this, and I trust that you will do so again. So I'm looking forward to hear from the citizens again. As you know, during the summer we had 5 budget outcome meetings. We had 1,200 individuals there. We then took the budget, we've now presented it to you with the citizens' ideas, and then again, now you will have public hearings for the next reasonable period of time so that you can opine about it, change it, make it better, and then I'm sure that in the prescribed time we will have another balanced budget that the people in the city can be proud of, that give us a chance not only to be ready for our 300th anniversary, but to be the city that we always dream we should be. So I thank you for the time. I do want to take this minute to thank Jeff Hebert and Cedric and the entire executive branch of city government for working their fingers to the bones in partnership with you guys to actually be able to present this document to you. I also want to thank city council staff for what you're about to do, because I know this is a very time-consuming and very difficult point for you. And on behalf of the citizens of New Orleans, who I certainly will speak for, I want to thank you for the amount of time and the effort that you put in to get in this document, which guides us for an entire year as close to the city's priorities and the citizens' priorities as possible. So thank you, God bless you, and I'm going to ask our CEO, Jeff Hebert, and Deputy Mayor Grant to follow through on the details on both the operating side and on the capital side of the budget. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.